President Joe Biden is hosting a video call with European allies as the threat of a Russian invasion into Ukraine intensifies. The US has ordered family members of American diplomats in Ukraine to evacuate. Let's go to our Washington correspondent, Annalise Nielsen, live from DC now. Annalise, what is the latest?
Well, there's been a few important developments today that have many on standby that there could be some kind of invasion of Ukraine. First of all, there was this warning from the United States State Department for its own ambassadors, the diplomats' families within the capital Kiev to evacuate. And this has been coupled with a warning from the Biden administration that they won't necessarily be able to evacuate US citizens in Ukraine. A lot of that pressure has come, of course, after the chaotic evacuation of Afghanistan and fears that there could be a repeat scene. But they have been adamant that they're not going to keep track of every US citizen overseas. The other quite interesting update is the Ukrainian intelligence forces saying that they now suspect there's around 127,000 Russian troops along the border there, and that's why they're convening this video chat today so that the US can coordinate with its allies about what they've described as every possible scenario.
We have been consulting with allies in deployments and refining plans for all scenarios. We've always said we would reinforce our allies on the eastern flank, and those conversations and discussions have certainly been part of what our national security officials have been discussing with their counterparts now for several weeks. In fact, we've never ruled out the option of providing additional assistance in advance of an invasion.
That's quite a marked escalation of rhetoric from the United States in that previously what we've heard from the Biden administration is that they're relying on economic sanctions. It seems like that's still very much on the table, but now the conversation's turned much towards what will the military response be. Now, we've heard from the Secretary of the Pentagon that there's going to be at least 8,500 US troops on higher alert, but not necessarily on standby.
Secretary Austin has placed a range of units in the United States on a heightened preparedness to deploy, which increases our readiness to provide forces if NATO should activate the NRF or if other situations develop. All told, the number of forces that the Secretary has placed on heightened alert comes up to about 8,500 personnel.
At the same time, the US has sent 2 separate weapons shipments to Ukraine, as well as NATO forces are increasing their presence around the region. So everyone is seemingly bracing for potential conflict.